family. So let's give it up for Melissa Flanell of Dragon Man. Remember, we have a permit here, so we can be as loud as we want to, so they know that freedom still lives in the bloods of Coloradans. So, I hope they're hearing us in there. Woo-hoo! Gun rights are still rights, people! We will not be silenced! You will hear us all night.
Hey, hey. All right, so I'm getting feedback that some information is already, that the committee has already started, which in my opinion is a little wild because most of these committee hearings start at 1:30. They don't really start before that. And the fact that it's starting super early makes me think that they don't want us to rally. They don't want us to speak our piece. They don't want to speak the truth. And for that, I really hope people understand that that is intentional. That just lets you know where their objective lies and where their intention lies. So I hope to make this speech get in there because I not only want to tell you this rally speech that I have kind of typed up, which is extremely important. It's about 3 pages. So I was not able to memorize this, but I swear to God, every single word is from my heart. And then I'm going to get in there because I really want you guys to fight tooth and nail. And I really appreciate you all being out here today. I know that it's so early. You all probably drove from all walks of life, from all corners of Colorado to be here. And that means so much to me. You are the true patriots of this state. You are the majority. You're just the ones that showed up today that weren't able to take off work and so forth. But there are so many people watching from live stream. There are so many people that wish that they could be here. And you guys, you're really the heart and soul of Colorado, and you are the majority. Don't let them tell you any different, okay? The news and everyone will tell you differently, but I swear to God, you are the majority. People that I've talked to, people that I come into contact with. I went to school, I went to college in Boulder, and I will tell you, yeah, I know, it was about 10 years ago, before this state became what it is, and I can't tell you how many people that I even met in Boulder that are Republican. So we are the majority, your voices do count, and your opinions do matter. All right, so getting on with my long speech. So I want you for a moment to picture a world where we are no longer free to protect ourselves. We're no longer to protect our families or our homes. Last year, it was laws to increase the taxes on firearms. This year, it's exploiting money to create a mandatory registry. Each year, they strip us of more and more rights. That's not the world I would like to live in, and I'm sure that is not the reality any of us choose to accept. Ladies and gentlemen, true supporters of our Constitution, I am Melissa Flanell, and I am honored to stand here today with all of you as not only a supporter of our Second Amendment, but also someone who has breathed the values of responsible gun ownership my entire life. And I'm sure you do too. We all grew up around firearms. It seems like that's the case. And when you do that, it takes the curiosity out of firearms and it lets you know the true responsibility and we have the true respect for firearms that it needs to have when you grow up around firearms. When my parents moved to Colorado from Long Island, New York, many of you might know of Dragon Man's. So my dad is typically called out the most well-armed man in America. We haven't truly factualized that, but yeah, I grew up around guns my entire life. I grew up around a lot of guns. And when they moved here from 1982, they started a business from scratch. Literally no building, no running water, just land and ambition. That's all they had. Over time, after living where they worked, they bought more property, expanding one business into 6. All of those businesses are still running today. And I co-manage them with my dad. You know what made it successful? Successful is that they didn't give up. They faced challenge after challenge, but giving up wasn't an option. Failure was not an option. It's not on the table. It's not there to choose from. We've all heard these people say if gun control laws keep getting passed, they're going to move out of state. They're going to go stock up on lowers and build them out, or best yet, I will not comply. As the saying goes, the only necessary thing for the triumph of evil is for good men and women to do nothing, to stand idly by and do nothing. Well, guess what? If my parents taught me anything, it's to not run from my problems. I face them dead on. And clearly, that's all of you who showed up today. I've always been a passionate gun supporter. Shall not be infringed is embedded in my DNA. And my true passion began when my mom passed away 12 years ago. I try not to cry every fucking time. My dad asked me to help run the business and they started, and although I graduated college with a degree in evolutionary biology, I said yes. I have made it my personal goal for the past decade to ensure that my mom's legacy and hard work doesn't disappear in vain. My parents' business is predicated on the American dream, and it's symbolic of freedom. The right to do and choose how you live, how you want to live, how you choose. And my mom and dad adapted. They overcame and they persevered. Fighting SB 3 isn't just about preserving a firearm store and a shooting range. It is so much more personal than that. This is a personal fight. Tom Sullivan might feel like this is a personal fight, but guess what? He has the same amount coming back on him because this is personal to me too. This is the third year these politicians are using Bloomberg money to restrict the freedoms allowed in Colorado. We have watched these weak politicians give into big money to the puppets, to be puppets, inspired by true evil. These leftists have the audacity to call us Nazis. But we are not the ones disarming the general population, to threaten to disarm the population. And to those incentivized by money, I say this: cash flow will run out, but the true passion and the heart of the American people will live on year after year after year after year. You cannot challenge the heart of the American people. It will triumph over money every goddamn day. We need to remind these politicians they don't work for Bloomberg, they work for us. Every time there's a shooting, these reps want to blame me. They want to strip me of my rights. Someone who has never committed a serious crime other than a traffic ticket. None of them want to place the blame on the real culprit, the shooter, or the criminal. They want to blame the law-abiding citizens. We are the first one taxed, the last ones considered, and we are the first ones punished. For the past few years, we've allowed the left to be too loud with their manipulative tactics and lies. It's now time for us to be louder with the truth. And the truth is that we were born with the right to protect ourselves with however we see fit. Yes. And I will be damned if I stand idly by to let Tom Sullivan or Mike Bloomberg or Everytown or the lunatic moms who demand action to strip away my rights. The only time this political runaway train can take my firearms away is, like Charlton Heston said, is when they pry it from my cold, dead fucking hands. Yes! And we need to let them know this with courage and conviction. They cannot take my complacency, my autonomy, They cannot take my only equalizer. I'm 5'3". I'm 112 pounds. And I refuse to allow them to compromise long-term safety for their delusional view of a temporary solution. Because SB3 will not work. It does not diffuse criminal activities. It will not have any actual efficient solutions to Colorado. This bill is a waste of our time. It's a waste of our money. Now, I know this won't be easy. It's time-consuming. It takes away from our daily lives. Obviously, you guys know that. You're here today. You had to wake up by 5:30 or 6 a.m. and be here by the Capitol at 9 a.m. This is wild. I cannot tell you how grateful I am to see every one of you here today to take time out of your lives, because obviously the Second Amendment is extremely important to you, as it should be, and this lawn should be tripled and quadrupled with the amount of people, because we are not the minority, we are the majority. But guess what? The people who can afford firearms at this point, they work a full-time job. They are having to pay taxes. April 1st, 6.5%. They already have to pay the egregious fees that firearms have quadrupled over the last couple of years. It is not a cheap hobby. And if they think that a majority of people can afford this stuff, they are sadly mistaken. We are up against politicians who have no idea what goes on in the firearms industry. So the work starts here today. It starts this November for the next election. I will continue to educate the majority, and I hope you do too. So let's flip some seats come November, because that's what we got to do. We have to vote these representatives out of office, these traitors of our Constitution. And that is it, traitors. They want to know about constitutionality. I will tell them, you look at the Second Amendment, you look at the Bill of Rights where it says shall not be infringed, and we are allowed to have our Second Amendment right. They do not get to dictate what we are allowed to purchase and what we cannot. So I want to thank you for being here today. Thank you for standing up, for showing up. You are the true patriots of our Constitution. You are the true, genuine people of Colorado. And together we can protect our rights. We can honor the sacrifices of those who have came before us and ensure the legacy of freedoms endures for future generations, for our kids, for kids after our kids, for our grandchildren, because they deserve this right. You know how hard it is to get back our rights? It's very hard. This is where it starts. We need to fight before it becomes law. So let's make our voices heard today and every day. Thank you for having me. And here we go. I hope you guys give them hell. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Colorado. And I am so proud of you guys for being here. It literally brings tears to my eyes, and it prolongs the legacy that my mom started in. My dad started in 1982. You guys are the true fabric of our Constitution. Thank you for embedding that and reliving that and just securing the foundation of America. Thank you.
Thank you, baby. Give it up for this broad. She's amazing. Melissa Flanell. This woman fights very hard. She does amazing videos to help inform the community of what's going on. She takes time away from running her business, from her family, from her personal life, to make sure that you guys have the information that you need, that you guys have the resources that you need. I want to thank her so much for joining us and bringing the fight here today. You know, a couple years ago when I really got involved in fighting down here at the Gold Dome, I felt so alone. I felt so defeated because every day that I came down here was just a handful of the same old people. And they always had these red shirt ladies out here calling us baby killers. They tell us that we are the reason that children are dying in schools, when as a matter of fact, I wouldn't go anywhere with my children without being armed to the teeth and situationally aware, because it doesn't matter who they are, any child in my presence, I am their protector. And the armed people of America and the armed people of Colorado are the protectors of society, whether they like it or not. And we have a lot of FFLs and a lot of gun shops out here that are putting their notoriety on the line. They're putting their businesses on the line. They're shutting their businesses down so their employees can testify. They're fighting for us, and they're fighting for these rights that we shouldn't have to be out here fighting for. That's what I don't understand, is this community has gotten so used to compromise, we forgot that we don't have to. We don't owe these people anything. We've played their rules, we've played their games, we've given them what they've asked, and what has happened to Colorado? What has happened to this place? It's become a death trap of violence, of abuse, of sex trafficking, of fentanyl, of murder and crime. It's a cesspool. And we got to stand up. Because you know what? They don't want us unified. They don't want us sitting out here and speaking our voices and meeting each other and banding together and fighting back, because they know that we are the righteous. We are the strong ones. They lie to these people and they abuse society with trauma. So these people grieve in trauma and blame the gun. But why is it the gun's fault? Why is it not the human condition that's at fault? Why are we not enriching our communities and giving them education and giving them the tools and the mindset and the self-confidence and the self-worth to want to stand up and protect themselves? Because that's what we really teach as firearms instructors and as educators and as providers of firearms. We're teaching people to value themselves and love themselves enough to protect themselves and to put their safety and their family's safety first. So remember that today when you walk in here and in these buildings that have pictures of civil rights leaders like Martin Luther King on the walls, but they forget that he was a felon who was disarmed and murdered by his government. Nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about the importance of civil rights, and that all Jim Crow were Juan Crow laws that were created to disarm people. All these gun control laws are rooted in racism and bigotry and prejudice against us all. They hate us all equally. And I don't want you to think that they hate guns. They don't. They love guns. They just don't want us to have them. Because behind us, they're protected by those guns. So why can't we protect ourselves and our families with the same methods that they choose to? Why are they better than us? Why are their lives more valuable to protect, but our children are left going to schools where they're soft targets? Think about that today when you talk to these people and speak your mind. I'm going to introduce somebody. This is Christopher Richardson. He's a state representative. He's going to give you some information on what's going on behind us today.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all for coming out here today. This is supposed to be the house of the people, and it unfortunately is not. What was said at the beginning is absolutely true. We're normally on the floor discussing bills, debating bills, mostly bad bills, until noon, 1 o'clock, and committees start afterwards. So yeah, they cleared the calendar today so they can have plenty of time. And I really do hope that we have all the witnesses, all the testimony to fill all that time, and that they actually listen. And I keep saying they. I hate to be part of the they. I just want to go back a little bit. So back in 1866, a gentleman by the name of Gideon John Tucker, an attorney in New York, stated that no man's life, liberty, or property is more in danger than when the legislature is in session. And unfortunately, this legislature is in session, and they are working in overtime to strip us of our liberties. So please, stay here today. You got a phone? Call a friend. Call 10 friends. Get people out here to speak, to be heard, and make sure that folks listen to you. This last several years has been horrendous. 2 years ago, I was not in the House. 2 years ago, I was sitting in a committee room like the one they're sitting there today. I got here at 7 o'clock in the morning so I could get a seat. I didn't testify against that year's assault weapons ban until about 10 p.m. and it died about 2 o'clock in the morning. I hope we see that again today. I don't know if that'll be true. But people need to be heard. If you're the praying type, please pray for the Republicans on the committee today. And pray for those Democrats too. Pray that they open their ears, their hearts, and maybe just take a minute or two to reflect on the oath that they took earlier in January when they stood on the floor and were sworn in. The people that brought this bill, Sullivan, others that have signed on, originally every Democrat in the Senate signed on to this bill. Every Democrat in the Senate violated their oath of office the day they put their name on that.
Traitors.
So,
They're traitors.
and they need to be reminded of that, and they need to be held accountable for that. Please do. Make sure these people do not remain in office. Yes. A few years ago, recalls were started. We changed the makeup of the Senate several years ago. Wow, man, we're talking 2014 when this crap all started. So it gets worse every year. It needs to stop. It needs to be reversed. We picked up 3 seats in the House this year. First time in a decade we've gotten more folks on the right side of these issues that are serving the people of Colorado into the House. We need 11 more to take a majority, but every seat counts. Every voice in there that's speaking for you counts. So please, just make noise today, bring more friends, be heard. We have a constitution that is supposed to protect the minority from the tyranny of the majority. What we are suffering in this state is a tyranny of the majority. And we should not stand for that. We shall not stand for that. And we shall keep calling them out every minute of every day that we can. So please, 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 I know I'm preaching to the choir because you're here, but bring more into this. Bring more people out here. Put people, if they can't be here, let them know. They can go online, you can listen to the testimony. You should be flooding these people, emails, texts, phone calls. Their aides should be scrambling in there with little slips of paper saying, we're hearing more and more, let's try to stop this. Let's try to stop this. I don't know where it goes today. It should die, it should have died, it should have never been introduced on the Senate side. It's got a price tag attached to it. This state is looking at a $1.2 billion shortfall in the coming year. And we're spending time and money trying to take people's rights away. It's not right, it needs to stop. So it stops with us, it should stop today. If it doesn't stop today, we keep fighting until we stop it. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being seen. Thank you for being heard. And just keep fighting. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. So for what I'm hearing right now is they need more people in there to show unity in these rooms because they don't think we're here. They don't think that we're going to fight. So I encourage you today to use your voices and speak out. You know, when I first got into politics, a lot of these organizations that were pro-2A nationwide told me, you're never going to make a difference, Alicia. You're never going to make a difference. You're just you. You're not a lobbyist. You're just a regular old chick, right? From this neighborhood. I grew up in these streets. I grew up on this Capitol. My mother worked in that building across the street for 20 years. I was always down here. I took the bus down here as a kid. I protested with the Chicanos and Mexicanos and Mestizos all down here against tyranny because people forget that dead men don't tell tales. We're not in the history books. You know why? Because they eradicated our people. And how did they do that? Disarmament. That's how they did it. Gun control is rooted in racism. Gun control was created by the Democratic Party. Gun control was created in the 1800s because the Republican Party wanted to give socioeconomic and political equality to people that look like me, to people with brown skin, to people with Asian skin, to people with black skin, to people that were non-white Protestants. And who were the people that owned the guns? The same people that owned slaves. And they said, we don't want resistance. We want the monopoly on violence. We don't want these people to be able to revolt against us. We want to control them. So what are we going to do? We create the Democratic Party. And through state constitution, we ratify them throughout the South and build restrictive laws into the government so they can't afford guns, so they can't have them. because they want that monopoly of violence. This has got to stop. This is your opportunity today to speak out and tell these people who you are. You don't need the facts, you need your heart today. You need to tell them who you are, tell them your name, tell them where you're from, and tell them why it's important that you carry guns, and tell them that you are going to continue to carry guns, because if we have to, we will fight this all the way to the constitutional, ends of the world. We'll go to the Supreme Court if we have to. Because this country was founded on racketeering, on tax evasion, on resistance. This country was founded in resistance. So remember that today. There are people that died for this right. Make sure that their voices are heard through yours. I'm going to introduce somebody here real quick. This is my friend Clay Kimberling. He's from the NRA. They were very generous and kind to donate funds today so we can gather, so we can have this equipment, so we can have parking and people to support us. So I'm going to hand the microphone off to him and give him some love, guys.
Thank you, Alicia. Yeah, my name is Clay Kimberling. I am with the National Rifles Association, but it's a little bit more than that. I was born and raised here in Colorado, down in southern Colorado, the San Luis Valley. Anybody know where that is? Yeah, all right. I actually still live there. Came up here this morning from it. I went to school. I went to CSU. Go Rams. I don't know if that's a popular thing, but go Rams. But the point of that is yes, I work for the National Rifles Association, but I'm from this state. And that speaks to each and every gun owner, that NRA members of all organizations all across this country and this state. We're not a national gun lobby or anything like that. We're people. We're average day Americans that stand up here every day and fight for our rights. I was just in the committee room just a few minutes ago until I popped back out here. And I often hear this repeated theme. How many of you remember the appointed Representative Hernandez, the one that got primaried out after that one? He always used to say, "Oh, I'm 25. I'm here representing this generation because this generation needs change." Well, I'm 23, sir, and you do not speak for my generation. That is a fact. We're here to stand strong, so thank you guys for coming out today. Make sure to get inside, testify, remain respectful. Thank you for coming out. Fight for our rights, and fight on.
Thank you, Clay. Thank you for your support today. I hear a lot of crap all the time, people saying, the NRA, we hate the NRA. You know what? These guys have been out here. I see them. I see their faces when it's time to show up here at the Capitol and testify. There's a lot of organizations that don't. So those are the people that are supporting you today. People like RMGO, people like Ava Flanell, people like Dragon Man. I want to give a shout out to some of the people that helped support this rally today. We have, of course, Spartan Defense Armory. Give it up for them. They're amazing people. Support them, buy from them. Me, of course. I want to thank me, ladies and gentlemen, because I don't sleep, and I don't want you guys to ever get comfortable thinking that we can relax or lay down with these people on our backs, because they don't. So it's time that you get uncomfortable, and it's time you start putting in that work. Dragon Mans, of course. Thank you, Melissa. Ava Flanell, Rocky Mountain Gun Owners, the NRA, Specialty Sports and Supply, Firearms Legal Protection. We got DCF Guns. We got the Colorado Republican Party. We got the Chainsaw Caucus out here. We got Empire Gun Club. We got the Libertarian Party. We got Rally for Our Rights. We have Centennial Gun Club. And of course, the unification of my company and Spartan Defense, the Second Syndicate, Colorado's grassroots two-way organization. Support us, follow us, donate to us, because we're just getting started. I'm tired of these people. I'm tired of this nonsense, and I'm tired that they think that I can't make a difference, because you know what? I'm a pain in the ass. I'm relentless, and I'm a bitch. And I'm a bitch who loves her guns, and I'm educated, and I'm intolerant of this nonsense. And I want you to be intolerant of this nonsense, because we're going to be loud today. They're going to be hearing us all day today that gun rights are civil rights. And this is a civil rights and a human rights issue, because all of your lives matter. Remember that. Look at these amazing people right here. We have Representative Matt Brooks, and we have Rebecca Kelty. Give it up for them. These people are always fighting for you. They know they're outnumbered. They know these people scoff at them and treat them like crap, and they still show up every day with your best interest at heart, and they speak for the voices of the people. And I appreciate these guys. So thank you so much for being patriots. Thank you so much for doing the right thing and standing up for freedom. I know it's not easy, but we're here with you, and we support you, and we thank you. So we need some support inside, guys. We need to start getting everybody in there. If you're going to testify, you're welcome to stay out here. We're probably going to change the audio a little bit. We're going to see if we can get the hearing played out here for you. Our audio guy is going to have to go, so we're going to switch up the microphone. And I might just have to stay out here and hang out with y'all, because I've spoken plenty of times in this Capitol, and I think it's time we give a little bit more unity for everybody else in there other than myself. I have one more person that I want to introduce you to. He's a good friend of mine. He goes by Big Timber Lodge. My friend Nick.
Hey everybody, I'm Nicholas Rogers with the Big Timber Lodge! And I'm one pissed off Coloradan. I never would have thought 2 months ago you would have been able to tell me that I would be in front of the Capitol building in Denver protesting elected officials who work for me, elected officials who work for you, that are trying to take away our inalienable rights. Inalienable doesn't mean given by the government, it means given by God. They cannot be taken away. They cannot be taken away. And I'll tell you what, there is a shift in this nation. There's a political shift coming. And I'm 100% certain after we are seeing that this is a global, or not a global, but a national level push for gun control that's coordinated, as we are now looking at 6 states with almost a carbon copy of SB 25003. And what do those states have in common? They are moderate blue to deep blue states. And I don't believe that the politicians in those states realized what would happen in last year's 2024 election. That not only would the administration change, but the political landscape of the nation changed as well. Where you have people that have fallen on the left saying enough is enough. It's time to stand up to these tyrants that are in power, that are taking our money and taking away our rights. I feel that what we're seeing inside of this Capitol building with SB 25003 was a coordinated effort through gun lobbyist groups like Everytown for Gun Safety that have been sucking off of our federal taxpayer dollars through organizations like USAID to push gun control down our throats and to be able to fund opposition ad campaigns to people that are running against politicians like Tom Sullivan. But the political landscape is changing. Colorado got a tinge bit more red last year. The nation, one of the most historic turnouts for a Republican candidate we've ever seen. But I'm coming to you right now to say this. Your Second Amendment right, your First Amendment right, your Fourth and your Fifth Amendment rights do not fall on one side of the aisle. And unfortunately, progressive liberal politicians want to polarize your constitutional rights, saying that if you want to exercise your right to assemble, your right to free speech, your right to protect yourself in your own home or from a tyrannical government, then you must be a far-right extremist. Well, I'll tell you what. At the Big Timber Lodge, I have reached out across the aisle with an olive branch to people that fall on the left, to people that don't fall on the right, to people that are independents. And the outpouring of support that I've gotten from those individuals has really made me realize that our constitutional right, not just our federal constitutional right at a national level, but our Colorado constitutional right in Article 2, Section 13, our right to bear arms in the Colorado Constitution, is important to all of us, not just those that fall on the right. And I see some people here in the audience that I know don't just align themselves with MAGA. They might align themselves with more social or progressive ideals, but they still hold the idea to protect themselves as being just as important as other rights. Folks, we are here to raise one voice in unity, to shake the very foundation that this building is built on, and we are here to scream so loud that even if it falls on deaf ears, our message will permeate to the souls and minds of every politician that is inside this building voting to take away our rights. And they will know we are here. This is not a threat, but a promise. We are here to let you know we will do whatever it takes within the confines of the law to remove you from power if you vote to take away our rights. God bless you all. Let's get to work, Colorado.
Thank you, my friend. It's a pleasure to have you here. It's a pleasure to see how quickly this group of people has come together. And I will say this makes me very proud because, you know, as much as they want to kick us, as much as they want to litigate us, as much as they want to legislate us, you know what they are doing? They're waking a sleeping giant. Because we're pissed now. And guess what? We're getting stronger. We're getting more unified. We're communicating with each other. We're getting more organized. We're getting mobile. And we're getting serious. And I love seeing all these people come together for one cause, for one real cause. Because the second protects the first. We don't have any other rights if we don't have our guns. And they want to sit here and act as if we're the bad people, if we're the violent ones. We're peaceful. We're not harmless. And I'm looking forward to the day that I will arrive at this Capitol to walk these tyrants out of this building and replace them. So I hope that they hear me in there, in this gold dome, as they sit in there scoffing at us, laughing at us. I'm getting texts from people inside saying they're harassing our people because they're wearing shirts that have their businesses on them because they have guns on their shirts. They don't want us to film. They don't want us to show the world that they're in there making fun of us. They're abusing their oaths. We even have the fire people coming out here. Look at all these amazing people. Give it up for them. This community is strong. Let's show them how strong we are. There is a lady here that has become a favorite of mine. She has been testifying and she fights very hard. Come on up here, Missy. She is one heck of a survivor. They have thrown her out of this building before because they don't want to hear what she has to say. So you know what? Let them hear it today.
Well, sounds like they're trying to stop people from filming. Sounds like a job for First Amendment media. So we're gonna go into the Capitol and see what this is all about, what they're talking about here. Okay, I'm gonna put the camera down for a sec. Stand by. Did you want me to take these off the tripod?
No,
Okay.
it's gotta go through the machine, but if you don't have to take it out from the tripod,
Gotcha.
here.
I can take this one off pretty easy. Another audio thing. Can I leave that here for just 2 seconds? It's just right outside the door.
Sure.
Thank you.
Alright, you're all set. Is that?
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. First floor, west side. Yep, and all your stuff. Anything else in your pockets?
No?
You wear a watch? You wear a watch? Okay, can you walk through, just hold it up over your bed. Alright. Good.
Get my equipment together here. Good thing I rolled light today. I can hear them. I can't see them. It's the the gun control crowd on the Senate floor today? Is it the?
Well, I do know there's a protest happening on the West Steps.
Yeah, we were trying to cover it. They said they were inside. I was just trying to cover that too.
Might be. I mean, they
It's
might
in
be
the Senate. I think they're in session right now, right? The Senate is.
The Senate is, right now they're doing legislative appropriation. And then for Senate committees, they have the semi-annual report is the House Judiciary,
Oh, it is.
and that is upon adjournment, so, but it looks like they're going now, so that is in the Old State Library.
Old State.
It's on the second floor between us.
Thank you. Excuse me. Do you know where that crowd out there at the stairs is talking about their act today? I'm trying to cover it. Nobody can tell me. Oh, where's the? Okay, thank you. Golden Dome. We're in the belly of the beast here, people. Golden Dome. All right, people. We're gonna go in and talk to people.
Suffer from a work arrest for those and would not contemplate a replacement for those things without it recognizing a specific issue of this concept.
I did want to have a robust conversation with our bill sponsors, but also want to recognize that we have a lot of witnesses who are experts on both sides of this issue. With that, let's head into the witness testimony phase. Thank you, bill sponsors. Okay, for the first panel, can we get Allison Shee, Greg Lippenbrock, Jane Doherty, and Harrison Carter. Okay, we will start with Allison Shee. You will have 2 minutes. State any organization organization you represent, and you may proceed.
Morning, I'm Allison Sheen, and I serve as Senior Counsel. Thank you for allowing me to testify today as part of SB3, which will prohibit the full range of rapid-fire devices in Colorado and prohibit the sale and acquisition of the most dangerous kinds of military-style firearms unless purchasers go through hours of specialized training and obtain a permit. Ultimately, prohibiting the purchase and acquisition of these firearms unless these safeguards are followed will help protect against people attempting to evade Colorado's existing high-capacity magazine prohibition. Because on several occasions, people with ill intent have exploited Colorado's high-capacity magazines. They've obtained illegal high-capacity magazines other than Colorado's magazines
Yeah, you can plug in
or from a gun dealer within the state.
I might not even know. I'll just use my iPhone. It's okay, but thank you.
High-powered semi-automatic military-style firearms that accept detachable magazines, which is still sold in Colorado without any safeguards. Exploiting this loophole, these individuals have perpetrated horrific mass shootings, like in the King Soopers and Club Q shootings. This bill will put in place protections that will help avoid these tragedies in the future. After the provisions of this bill go into effect, people who wish to purchase the most dangerous semi-automatic military-style firearms on the market will have to undergo safety training. Importantly, it will allow law enforcement discretion to deny a person a purchase eligibility card if the law enforcement officer has a reasonable belief that the person will present a danger to themselves or others. The same standard for assessing dangerousness required for a person to obtain a concealed carry permit in Colorado.
Is that okay?
Just as
That
it's
way we
critically
have
important
this.
to ensure that a person carrying a concealed handgun
thanks.
in public does not pose public safety risk, it is equally important to ensure that a person seeking to obtain a specified semi-automatic firearm does not pose a public safety risk. If these safeguards aren't followed, the sale and acquisition of these dangerous firearms would be prohibited. This bill will ultimately make Colorado safer, and I urge you to vote yes.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Greg Lickenbrock, who will have 2 minutes stating the organization you represent, and you may proceed.
Thank you for the opportunity to testify today in support of this legislation. My name is Greg Lickenbrock, and I'm the Senior Firearms Analyst for Everytown for Gun Safety. Before joining Everytown, I spent a decade working in the gun industry as a magazine editor, testing hundreds of firearms, attending media events and training courses, and meeting people working at every level of the industry. One of the reasons I left the industry is because I watched it double down on military-style weapons like AR-15s, despite their use in the deadliest mass shootings, because of their profit margins. Senate Bill 3 is an attempt to address that, as well as Colorado's ban on high-capacity magazines. On the federal level, and in all of Colorado's neighboring states, such magazines are unregulated, and it is all too easy for gun dealers in nearby states to sell high-capacity magazines to Coloradans without even checking their IDs. At the same time, Senate Bill 3 is not a sweeping gun ban by any measure. It would not affect any weapons that people currently own. It would not affect revolvers or recoil-operated pistols like Glocks, which make up over 90% of the handgun market. It would not affect manually operated rifles and shotguns, what most people use for self-defense and hunting. And the vast majority of semi-automatic shotguns use fixed magazines, so they are exempt as well. The bill mostly targets semi-automatic rifles, and as amended, Coloradans would only be able to buy AR-15s, AK-47s, and other semi-automatic rifles that use detachable magazines after taking a training course and being properly vetted. These measures help keep guns out of the wrong hands, something every responsible gun owner should support. Those who don't want to go through with those steps can still own semi-automatic rifles with fixed magazines, like the kind sold in California, New York, and other states. These guns are slower to reload, giving bystanders valuable time to escape from mass shooting. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Jake Godfrey. You will have 2 minutes stating the organization you represent. You may proceed.
Thank you, Chairman and committee members. My name is Jane Doherty, and I'm representing myself. I'm in support of SB 003, addressing Colorado's high-capacity magazine loophole. In 2013, Colorado enacted a law prohibiting magazines holding more than 15 rounds in an attempt to reduce the body count. I testified in support of that bill after my sister Mary was gunned down in the lobby of Sandy Hook School. Mary was the brave school psychologist that ran towards the shooter, who was armed with a Bushmaster AR-15 semi-automatic rifle with 10 30-round magazines. The shooter had blasted his way into the lobby. 8 extended casings were located outside the front door. 17 casings were located on the lobby floor where Mary and the school principal died. 49 casings were found in classroom 10. 7 people were killed. 2 adults, and 5 children. 80 casings were found in classroom 8. 17 people were killed, 2 adults, and 15 children. If a plan is a mass shooting, a high-capacity magazine is the killer's choice. Over 300 rounds were found at the scene. 26 souls were taken in fewer than 11 minutes. Mary was shot at close range with 5 rounds, which killed her instantly. She went to work that morning, and her family never saw her again. What was returned to her family were her clothes that she wore, now in this keepsake box. Her clothing was cleaned, of course, because that's what we do. We clean up the crime scene. We clean it all up, we sanitize it, because it's just too hard to face. But we have to face it. We have to look and see what high-capacity magazines will do to a human being. My sister, 5 rounds, close range. Her family misses her. This doesn't just happen on TV. Mass shootings happen all the way across this country. This bill will save lives. Please, please pass this bill so your family will not have to go through what my family has gone through. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Harrison Tarter. You will have 2 minutes stating the organization you represent. You may proceed.
Chair and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Harrison Tarter, and I'm a former Army Recon Scout, and I'm here representing the Vet Boys Foundation. I served in the Army's 10th Mountain Division, where my role required extensive training with military-grade firearms designed for combat. Like many scouts, I'm intimately familiar with the M4 assault rifle, the military equivalent of an AR-15. I can say unequivocally that these are nearly identical weapons. To dispute this characterization would be both untruthful and misleading. These firearms are incredibly powerful and in the wrong hands, extremely dangerous. This bill will prohibit the purchase and sale of semi-automatic military-style weapons with detachable magazines unless the individual undergoes proper vetting and additional background check and safety training outlined in this proposal. This will help prevent these weapons from falling into the hands of someone intent on causing mass harm. In these hearings, you may hear arguments about these weapons. As a former scout, I can tell you with certainty these are not defensive weapons, they are offensive weapons. Their ability to fire multiple rounds in mere seconds, as fast as one can move a trigger finger, makes them exponentially more lethal than traditional firearms used for home defense or hunting. A typical military-style semi-automatic rifle expels 5.56mm metallic projectiles at over 2 times the speed of sound into a human body with startling accuracy. Upon impacting a human body, the projectile tumbles, ricocheting off bones, eviscerating organs, and leaving a gaping exit wound. These weapons belong to a different class and warrant a higher degree of oversight for those seeking to purchase them. The bill before you is a crucial step towards curbing mass shootings. This legislation is not about infringing on responsible gun ownership. It's about common sense that acknowledges the fundamental difference between hunting rifles, home defense weapons, and battlefield firearms. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, committee members, do we have questions for this panel of witnesses? A.M.L. Bacon.
Thank you. I have a question for 2 of the witnesses, also Ms. Doherty. You come every year, you save lives. Thank you for coming. I think you should be sitting up front. So thank you for that. I have a question for, I'm sorry, Allison? I did not catch your last name. Apologies.
It's she. It could be no pronoun, she.
Okay, thank you so much. I have a question for you, and then I have a question for Veteran Boards. what's your last name? Apologies.
Tarter.
Okay, thank you so much. So my first question is around, can you share if there is ATF guidance for particular weapons? So, what is the guidance from the federal government relating to unique regulations of different types of firearms? I'm curious, I believe the ATF has guidance on some of the firearms we're talking about here. And then I guess my question from the veteran component is a little bit to build off of your testimony. Can you share with us what is important about the training that you get? Or what is at stake, or what is the risk of people not being trained on those weapons? Do both of those questions make sense?
I think so. I'm not.
Ms. Shi, sorry, we just have to direct traffic so that people listening online know who's talking. So, Ms. Shi.
Thank you, Chair. I think it does make sense. I'm not aware of the specific guidelines that you might be referring to, but I do want to mention something very important because we talked a little bit about how easy it is to buy high-capacity magazines out of state, especially because Colorado is surrounded by states that don't prohibit them, like Colorado does. There's no background check when you're buying ammunition, but per federal law, if you're buying a firearm from an FFL out of state, they have to abide by the law of both states. So because of federal law, if you regulate the firearm itself, you are able to better enforce the law that Colorado has on the books right now with high-capacity magazines.
Mr. Imali.
Can I just clarify? Do we regulate, does the ATF suggest, or federally, do we regulate automatic firearms differently?
Yes, thank you, Chair. We're not speaking about automatic firearms here. Automatic firearms are like fully automatic firearms, and those are regulated differently federally. And if we're talking about the rapid fire devices, there are some prohibitions federally for certain rapid fire devices. This bill would encompass the full range, include binary triggers, anything that could approximate, it could turn essentially a firearm into a machine gun, circumventing federal law regarding automatic firearms.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
And Mr. Carter with the training piece.
Yeah, thank you. So every member of the military gets extensive training on firearms, and then based on your MOS or what you do as your job in the military, you intend to get even more training on that. I was a scout in the military, so it's a combat arms branch, so we get extensive training on these weapons, on these firearms. And so the important piece about it is you get to know the lethality of the weapon, you get to know the differences between, say, a simple handgun, a sniper rifle, an AR-15/M4. So the main distinction between those weapons, and I'm sure many folks in this room know that, is that an M4 has an automatic feature that an AR-15 does not when it's in the military setting. But the important distinction for everyone to know in this room is that in the military you almost never use that feature because it's very inaccurate. You would only use it under a certain situation in which you wanted to necessarily lay suppressing fire or something like that. And so when we talk about these weapons, they are very, very, very similar in terms of the max effective ranges, muzzle velocity, and many other things. Thank you.
And I saw Rep. Armagost. I just have a few quick follow-ups. I wanted to ask about the specific guns that are covered. As this bill has been coming up, I've been receiving lots of emails about how the scope of this bill means that people won't be able to purchase pistols without going through now without going through the permit to purchase. Can someone walk me through that? Whoever would like to answer.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So there have been some claims that this bill is a little ambiguous, there's not clarity around the types of firearms. The bill lays out the different operating systems that pistols would fall under if they are gas operated. That is intended to capture AR and AK style pistols. It also captures assault pistols like Uzis, Tech-9s, MAC-10s, things that have been used in crime and mass shootings. But if there is a question of whether the gun or not would be covered, gun manufacturers actually tell you their operating systems on their websites. They do that to help sell the guns. It's much like a car dealer saying, this car is manual transmission or automatic. They're not trying to hide it, it's not a mystery. So it's a very simple system to figure out which guns would be covered and not. But as I said in my testimony, 90% of handguns would be untouched by this bill.
Okay, and then my last question is, can somebody more specifically flesh out the link between the covered weapons and instances of violence, like if there are statistics that say that these specific covered guns are more deadly or more likely to be used in X, Y, or Z type of crime. Can somebody flesh that out a little bit for me? Whoever would like to.
That's fine. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So mass shootings involving these weapons generally have over twice as many victims in terms of people that are killed and many more wounded. That is just undeniable. And also the number of rounds fired in mass shootings are exponentially higher, like 1,000 rounds in the Las Vegas shooting in a matter of 10 minutes. Those are just two that I have off the top of my head when it comes to how dangerous these weapons are.
Okay, I think that's enough. Representative Grassley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First off, I wanted to address the comments made by the veteran, and I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Tarter, sir.
Okay. As far as the comparison of the M4 and the AR-15, I think there's a significant difference between the two that makes one an NFA item and the other one available for civilian purchase. And I'm wondering if you can tell me what that is.
Mr. Tucker.
Thank you for the question. So are you referring to the selector switch?
Yes, so I mean, comparing the two, I think becomes apples and oranges because you have one that is an NFA item, isn't available for civilian purchase. And military grade, as we all know, in the military means way lesser quality parts versus the civilian version of everything, which has much better quality parts in most cases. But I think for anyone else on the panel, if anyone can tell me how you think, well, first off, I think that the comment that upsets me or frustrates me is the idea that these, I will still call them arbitrary list of firearms, commit more atrocities than handguns, than what's not listed in this bill. If you watch the nightly news here, or really anywhere in the US, but here especially that we see in Denver, that's why I don't watch the news. Why is the criminal aspect of these firearms supposed to be outweighing the criminal aspect of what's used predominantly in crimes related to firearms?
I'll just address the last point you made because I don't think anybody's made the assertion that these kill more people or are a bigger problem. I think there's no gun violence prevention measure that addresses every single issue of gun violence, and I would be happy to work with you next session if you want to do a permit to purchase system for handguns, which are dramatically proven to reduce homicides in places that have them. I'd love to partner with you on that. But the issue here is that when these firearms are used, they are incredibly deadly. So far more people are killed and far more people are injured. And it usually happens at random places like people's churches and schools and supermarkets. And that is terrorizing and it's worth addressing. And I want to defer to my colleague, Mr. Lickenbrock, to deal with the question about the difference between M4 and
Mr. Lickenbrock.
Thank you. One thing I want to add about the difference between the M4 and the AR-15, this bill also prohibits rapid-fire devices, and the AR-15 is extremely easy to convert back into something that is closer to the M4 through a bump stock, through an auto sear, through a binary trigger, through a force reset trigger. You can use a coat hanger to turn it